What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be showing you how I dropped 5% off my body fat percentage over the last 8 weeks to go from this to this. Rather than just showing you guys through some before and after photos, what I thought I'd do is show you the exact way that I did it. So we're going to start off with some scans, then we're going to go into habits, training, activity, cardio, and then finish off with the best of all, meal plans. And I'm going to be showing you the scans and the numbers throughout. So strap yourself in, this is going to be a good one. So by the time you're watching this, I'm probably on a plane heading to Italy to sun my dick for 8 weeks. And because of that, I spent the last 8 weeks cutting. And I wanted to get as lean as possible for that. So this is exactly our starting point. On the 8th of May, we were 80.9 kilos, as you can see there, with a starting fat mass of 12.7 kilos. We then had a starting lean mass, so non-fat mass, of 65.2 kilos, and a starting body fat percentage of 15.7. So this is a scan that I did that shows all those results, and this is exactly how we're looking. So not as lean as I wanted to be, obviously, but still, you know, the outline of abs, again, 15% is not bad. Like it's a good starting point, especially if you're wanting to get to really low body fat percentages in a short period of time. I was kind of in a maintenance kind of phase on like I guess the upward trajectory of a lean bulk. And then I decided, all right, it's time to start getting ready for Europe. In terms of what the next 56 days kind of look like, of those days, I spent 2 weekends, so 2 full weekends away. I was in Brisbane and I was at a farm. And then each weekend that wasn't those things, I had a proper Jordan cheat day. So of those 56 days, I spent 40 days actually on the plan. And that means, doing the maths, each kilo of body fat has about 7,700 kilos. So I had 40 days to create a deficit of around 940 calories a day because I wanted to lose over the 5 kilos of body fat in order to get to that, you know, around the 10% range. Now, assuming I was lying around in bed all day and literally doing nothing, in order to create that 940 calorie deficit, I would need to only eat 1,100 calories. However, I'm not lying around every day and I'm walking 10K steps, just normal activity, training most days as well. So that number was a lot closer to about 2,100. So that was my starting point in terms of calories. Okay, so first we're going to start off with training and activity and cardio. So in terms of cardio, I'm not a big fan of cardio personally. I think it's a bit of a waste of time if you're doing it purely for fat loss, you know, running and HIIT, that kind of stuff. If you're doing it for other health benefits and other health factors, and by all means, I'll recommend it. But purely as a calorie burning exercise, I don't recommend it. You don't need to really do anything more than just walking, hitting, again, 10K steps a day, which is exactly what I did. And that just elevates the amount of calories that your body's burning every day, just enough whereby you can eat a regular amount of food. You're not, you know, sacrificing the macros that you do need, so the protein and the carbs and the fats, but you're not having to kill yourself by, you know, as I said, doing excess exercise. Now, in terms of actual weight training, I started off with a 5-day split. So that was push, pull, legs, and then upper, lower. However, in that 8-week period, I was also finishing my final semester of uni, and there was a period there where I did get very, very busy. So I brought it back down to 4 days, and my split was upper, lower, with every upper day alternating between chest and back focused, and then every lower day alternating between hamstring or quad focused. In terms of the actual system side of things as well, now I'm not going to get into too much depth here, but essentially I just would wake up early, go for a big walk, essentially smash out most of my steps in the morning, probably before about 8 o'clock, before I actually get into work. Then I'd work for the whole day, and then I'd train with my mate at night. And that was just the routine that I had going on for the last 8 weeks. Worked an absolute dream. Now, on the other side of things, and the other side of the coin, is obviously food. So let's get back to that deficit that we were talking about earlier. Now, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of creating a deficit through excess exercise. I more so do it through food. And so, as I said, we're aiming to hit at the start around 2,100 calories a day, and following that general kind of rule of 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And at the time I was weighing around 80 kilos, so 80 times 2, we're looking at 160. Now, in terms of what I actually ate and what an actual day of eating looked like, I'm personally not a big breakfast eater. And so I usually skip breakfast, and I usually prefer to split that calorie bank that I have over the day over 2 large meals and then just a pre-workout snack. So the most common meals that I had here, and I think I calculated this, I had it literally like 18 times each. I'd have 2 chicken burgers for lunch, and then that would be at around 12:31. And then at about 2 o'clock, as I'm starting to get ready to go to the gym, I'd smash either a peanut butter and jam rice cakes on 4 rice cakes, or I'd do honey on rice cakes. I'd alternate between the two. And then for dinner, I would have like a double quarter pounder burger with cheese in that, and then I'd have a big bowl of Spud Light potato fries. And that would fill me up. I'd struggle to finish that most nights, and that was just a general kind of day of eating. The calories for each of those meals you can see over here, but that would get me to the total macros that you can see at the bottom. And yeah, again, hitting that every day would create that 940 calorie golden number deficit that I want. And if I stick to that long enough, I will be losing body fat and I will be getting to my goal. Now, after following that all for 8 weeks, this is exactly what the numbers were looking like as of the 25th of June. So we've got a final end weight of 74.8 kilos, an ending fat mass of 7.8 kilos, an ending lean mass, so non-fat mass, of 64 kilos, and an ending body fat percentage of, bang on my goal, 10.4 kilos. And again, this is how we were looking. Again, when you kind of put these two photos side by side, you can really see the difference around my face, around my abs. The abs, I think, is the most kind of prominent. Like, you can literally see each of the abs as well. Like, naturally, as most guys do, I hold a lot of my fat around like the side of my body here. So just that kind of, getting more narrow and getting more lean is always nice to see. The last thing I will say though is those last 8 weeks, those were not perfect. As I said, I spent a total of, 16 days either traveling or on a cheat day, like not on the plan. But even still, I managed to lose almost 5 kilos of body fat, and the differences you saw earlier. So you don't have to be perfect in order to achieve a fitness goal. You don't have to eat food that you hate, as I showed you. You can eat food that you like. You can live your life. Otherwise, if you hate your life when you're trying to get in shape, it's not going to last long because it's not sustainable. So as soon as you kind of give yourself any kind of wiggle room, because you don't like what you're doing, you're going to stop doing it, right? So guys, that is the full cut and the full kind of breakdown as to how I went through and everything. As I said, I am now on a plane heading to Italy for 8 weeks to undo all of that hard work that I just put in and probably put on a lot more than 6 kilos. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you can get some value out of that and take maybe some bits and pieces and kind of implement them into your own plans, into your own routines, to not only help you get your results faster, but also to help you get them kind of easier. Because as I said earlier, the harder and more difficult it is for you to get your results and get to your goal in the first place, the less likely that you're actually going to stay at that point. So please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to go back to signing it in Italy. I'll see you in the next video.